Ciao and welcome. So I have been making a few videos using my olives, which I keep in olive oil here and in a nice looking jar. And some of you have asked me how I make them and what do I do in the process. So today I decided to make a video where I'm going to show you firstly what I do when I need to refill my jar, and also how I make it. So the first thing I do, I've actually got here some olives. Actually, I think I need a bigger bowl. I've got some olives which are still very good, and the oil is also very good. And the trick of this is also to, of course, ensure that you do keep the oil. So I'm going to show you what I do when I empty the jar and I start again. So here are my olives, and I'm going to be just draining them so that I get the oil at the bottom. And if you look inside the jar, there are some sediments. So what I'll do next, I'm gonna go and clean this under the tap, clean water, make it bone dry, and then I'll refill them again, and I'll show you what I do. So this is now lovely and clean and bone dry, and it is ready to be refilled. In the meantime, also, if I show you down here, I've also gone and filtered the existing olive oil using a sieve, so that see that you get all of these sediments which I don't want. Also, I have separated the existing sun-dried tomatoes and olives from my residues of rosemary and bay leaves and old garlic, which I do no longer need. So this will go in my compost bin, and I can start fresh. So as I've already got some olives out, I will start firstly by filling the jar with some of the existing olives, and then I will also be adding the existing sun-dried tomatoes there. Let's talk about garlic. I've got here some garlic which is aged a little, and when it becomes this dry, I tend to actually use it for this purpose. So I will be putting a couple of cloves now, and then a few more later, and I'll start now. But also, of course, you can use fresh garlic. You don't have to have old garlic, and if you want, you can also leave the skin. So I'll have them there. And I'll start now adding some of the herbs, and I always use a combination of rosemary and bay leaf, and I put all of my herbs at the beginning, and mostly because I think I want to do the presentation of it. So if you do it at the beginning, it's going to be easier for you. So depending on the size of the jar that you're using, obviously you might have to cut them to size. But if you look, I'm going against the outside, so that by the time this is full of olives and olive oil, it will look really good. And of course, the quantity of rosemary you put in is entirely up to you, but I would recommend 4 sprigs is good enough. Next is bay leaves, so I'll put 1 bay leaf now, and then I will be filling in the layers as I go along. And I think that is the extent of my herbs. I would recommend that you do not use loose herbs like, for example, oregano or dry herbs, because they will create a lot of sediment. Like this most probably will last me for about 4 to 6 weeks, even a couple of months. If you're to put dry herbs, they will look horrible. They will taste okay, but they will create this very chunky part of sediment at the bottom, which I don't think you want on your kitchen. So what do we do next? I will start by showing you the olives I buy, and some of you have asked me, what olives do you use? And I will be honest with you, I do not discriminate at all. I buy whatever is the most affordable olive that I can find in the supermarket. We tend to opt for pitted olives, and the reason why that is because I think that they release more flavor, as there is already a hole in there, and the olive is raw, and also they are a lot cheaper. So today, for example, we went to Lidl, and we were looking for olives, and we bought some green olives, and also we bought some black olives, and this were 89p per jar. And in terms of weight, this one it's 170 grams, the drained weight. But as I said, I do not discriminate, and we tend to also buy our olives from Tesco. If you were to go to Tesco, you will find something which is really similar in size and also in flavor. These are called Baresa, and these are just Tesco's on. And again, the reason why we buy these is because they are the cheapest we can find. Normally we buy this big jar, and this is £2.90 in money, and the drained weight is 450 grams. However, we've noticed that lately they're no longer available in our little Tesco up the road, so we're hoping that they've not discontinued them and we can find them in the big Tesco. But if you shop in the smaller Tesco's like Metro or whatever, you might find this size. It's a little bit more expensive than these in terms of per olive, but they're exactly the same. So let's see what I do with the olives. These olives are in brine, so the first thing to do is to remove all of the brine, and I think this is one of the most important steps, but I've got very greasy hands, so I'll use a towel. There you go. And the reason why I say this is important is because you need to make sure that all of the brine is removed, and you don't really want any brine with your olive oil. And so I use this pasta strain, and I'll just leave them in there for a couple of minutes, and all of the water will go. And today I'm going to be doing a mixture of, there you go again, green and black pitted olives. And oh, there you go. It's done, and I pour them in as well. And judging by the size of my jar, I think I might just need a little bit more, but I'll start with this and then I'll see how it goes. So I'll give this a couple of minutes to completely drain the brine, and then I'll start refilling my jar. By the way, normally I would do this in my kitchen sink, but bearing in mind I'm videoing, I decided to do it here. So next thing is to just get hold of a handful of olives, and I've mixed them well. And so you get a nice combination of black and green. Of course, if you don't like black olives or you don't like green olives, just do them only one color. Or you can also use unpitted olives. You don't have to use the pitted olives like I do. Now, another really clever ingredient, and this is, by the way, a very Sicilian thing, is to add sun-dried tomatoes. You've already seen that I've added some sun-dried tomatoes from what I had left before. Ironically, these actually, they come from Sicily, but having said that, you can buy these also in the UK. Often they sell them in, I think in Lidl's I've seen them.
These were actually from Lidl in Sicily.
They were from Lidl in Sicily, yes. When we go back to Sicily, we tend to go with some spare capacity in our case so that we can bring some food. And this is one of the examples. But also in Sicily, I often have bought these in the past in the markets. They got big markets where you can buy all sorts, olive, cheese, and very often you buy sun-dried tomatoes. They got big like a slab, and they all sit in there in different flavors, and often they're also in garlic. They're delicious, but obviously we buy these like this because they're easy to transport and also they're dry. So having done that, I've got some sun-dried tomatoes. The next thing I'll do, I'll just put another bay leaf in there, and I don't need to worry about the rosemary, and I'll just carry on. And so bay leaf, sun-dried tomatoes, and a few olives until I reach the top. Oops, where are you going? And then I'll show you what I do next. So I'm near the top. I did say I was going to put some more garlic at the top, so there we go. I'll put a couple of cloves in here. And with the garlic, by the way, entirely up to you. If you don't like garlic, you don't have to put it in, or because it will actually release quite a lot of flavor, especially after the first 24-48 hours. So it's an ingredient which is very much optional, and everything is optional. You don't have to put anything, just olive oil will be also good enough. But I've now reached the top, and I'll put the rest of my olives. Perfect, look at this. And all I've got left to do now is to refill my jar with olive oil. But as I've got some olive oil left from previous, I will top it up with this first. And then if I need some more, I will add some more later. So let's have a look. Now this is quite important, by the way. If you look, I'm actually near the top. It's 2/3 there. So some people have asked me, do you keep your olives in the fridge, or do you actually leave them on your worktop? The answer is very simple, either. But if you put them in the fridge, the danger is that depending on the temperature of your fridge, the olive oil could go really hard. So I would recommend that you keep them on your worktop, but do ensure that you keep them totally covered with olive oil. And the olive oil I use for this is extra virgin olive oil. This is not expensive, it's about £10 a bottle, so it's £10 for I think it's a litre, this one. But do ensure that they're totally covered like this. And then the oil will act as a preservative, and they will last forever, well, until you eat them, of course. And they're done. And the good thing about this is that you can actually then use the oil as you make your salad, and you do anything, not necessarily for cooking, but if you're dressing salad, or even if you're doing fish or whatever, I use this oil because it releases all of the beautiful flavor from the sun-dried tomato, from the garlic, the rosemary, the bay leaf, and of course the olive. But it is a very distinctive and stronger flavor, and it's beautiful. And I always say that if you mix ingredients together like this with care, you don't need to buy expensive ingredients. You can just do it cheaply, and this will be absolutely beautiful. But I would recommend that before you tuck in, leave them for about 12 hours, 20 to 24 hours, so that you give time for the olive to release their flavor, and then they will be infused with everything else. Also, we have a tendency in our house, or someone who is behind the camera has a tendency in our house to think that these are sweets. So she'll pass by, and then she will she'll just pick them up, and they're actually very, very nice. So just as simple as that. Make them and let me know what you think. Okay, thank you for watching, and enjoy and good luck. Ciao, ciao.